Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing DmC Definitive Edition on Gods Must Die difficulty mode, hardcore variant with turbo on. Now, did you see what I did at the very beginning of this video? From a standing position, I double backed to where those two slugs were and got some double trigger from one of them. They sometimes give them to you. I don't know how like the random factor of it. I'm not very sure about that, but I do know that it's not necessary to do to keep restarting to get double trigger, because by the time you get to the first of the two fights of the total 8 fights in this chapter, you'll have max double trigger. There's too many fights in this chapter for you not to have that many. So beware, there is a fight with 3 Dream Runners, and before that there is a fight with a Blood Rage and a Ghost Rage. So what I've done is not use the double trigger up until the fight with the Ghost Rages, and then saved it up from there for the 3 Dream Runners. There is a Dream Runner right here, actually. If not right now, in the next wave. But lesser Digiuns here accompany this witch. So what I find myself to be doing sometimes when I do these fights is that I don't think you ever fight a witch just, individually. I think that's one of the things the developers took into consideration when dealing with the witch, because the witches are so easy that you need some kind of a distraction while you're fighting them. It is annoying, but I find myself when I'm fighting this witch, whenever I have the lock-on on, he throws it in the opposite direction, which is an abject failure for this game, in my opinion. That's one of the things that this game fails to do. The other thing is when you're swinging and he hits in the opposite direction of the enemies. But other than that, I can't applaud this game more for doing what it is, for being fearless, for daring to be different, and that's awesome. But there is a Dream Runner over here. And the thing about the Dream Runners, I'm just going to speed this up. The thing about the Dream Runner, and in any fight that you're doing out here, that's the reason I mentioned it in the beginning, that the place that you begin in this chapter, they don't seal it off. See what I'm doing here? I'm going to head back here, lure the harpies back here, and throw some drives just to greet them. So there's 3 harpies. Sometimes the Dream Runner comes over here, but if you can get in here quickly enough and not turn the camera on the main room too much, then you should get into a position here where the harpies are in this cavern here. So there's 4 caverns, but this is the one where at the very beginning of this video I double backed and hit those slugs. They don't seal this off, so you can take advantage of this. It's I think the only place that this helps you very much is on the Dream Runner fights, of which there's 2, and the Rages, because you can get the Rages back in here, and the tighter and more confined area in which you're fighting, the more your hits are going to connect. Turned out the Dream Runner was standing there the whole time. But the key on those harpies is definitely to shoot them, to knock them down with the shotgun. But I did this all no damage, actually, so it worked out really well. Other than that, I was saying to myself, there's going to be a point at which in this room here we're going to fight 3 of these guys, so there's just no reason to use it when there's only 1. Admittedly, he has those harpies as lackeys. However, with the way I did it there, you can lure them down in there. I didn't think they were going to come in there, to be honest, but they do. So the route that I'm going to be taking, you saw me go down the path of the sun. Now I'm going down the path of the moon. So the next one I do will be the well, let's just keep it at that so far. So you can come down here, shoot the spiders. I do think it accrues your double trigger, even, you know, slightly. But the fights in these caverns here, they're nothing more than opportunities to accrue your double trigger. The fights in the main room are always going to have multi waves and generally have pretty difficult enemy placements. But I think down here it's just Digiuns. Oh no, this is there are Digiuns, but you have a couple of the shielded Bathoses. So anytime there's simply lesser Digiuns or elite Digiuns like in a group, I'm just going to drive spam everybody and put it in fast forward, because it's the simplest way to take care of the situation, and it's the fastest way. It doesn't eat up a lot of time in the video, because nobody's going to struggle on these enemies here. That's just a fact. But this is the last chapter. That's a lengthy chapter, and that it's not just a boss chapter. So I rather like this chapter. I like the colors, but that's not important. The important thing is that we clear this shit, and we're going to. Can we defeat the entire game, though? I don't know. I truly hope so. So I'm actually not even being very stylish with my combos either, and my double trigger is not accruing very much. But we have another fight coming up in the main arena, and it's a couple of heavy hitting enemies, and you know which ones those are, but we're gonna juggle them. Another thing that I thought of was, can you go in these secret doors right there? Even though it's not very secret, it's right in plain view. Can you go in there and accrue your devil trigger? And the answer is no. Sadly. You can accrue devil trigger while in there, but when you leave, you're going to have whatever you entered with. So you can't manipulate it in that fashion. But even if you were trying to do something like that, the more valid option for you to do is to just visit the divinity statue and buy and simultaneously use a large devil trigger star to fill yourself up if you want to. There's no stopping you from doing that. It's definitely not going to sacrifice any kind of achievement or trophy, because there doesn't exist any of those for this difficulty, and there should have been. There really should have been. So Hell Knights here and Ravagers. What we're going to do is launch the ladder and roulette spin spam them, or just straight up aerial rave combo them and spam that. So all we have down here left, what I also do is when I'm in the air, I also like to do when I land, I like to do a charged landing, so that I land more slowly, and I also can survey from the air what's beneath me to see what I can expect when I land. So what I would recommend is to take care of this guy first, because he's got all the ranged attacks. But he can't very well do much when we're juggling him in the air like a fucking bitch, can he? So anyway, I'm going to stop doing this. I think I'm going to stop doing it when he goes into his self-termination mode, because I wanted to use him to damage the tyrant, but I don't think that the tyrant was near him when he did his expiration. So when I'm playing these games, what I would recommend to you is just look around the environment. You know, I always check to see what I can stand on, like these statues over here, whatever they are. I was trying to jump on them, trying to see if I could stand up there to protect myself during the rages, and you can't, but you can hide behind them. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm gonna stand behind them a little bit. And what I would recommend is that you take the Ghost Rage out, because the Blood Rage, for some reason, and I'm not sure why, and I have a suspicion of why it is, but you can't stun lock him the way you can the Ghost Rage. The Blood Rage, even with a level 2 Aquila, projectile charged Aquila move, it doesn't stun him, and I think the simple reason is that he is a demon. He's got demon components, and we're using an angelic weapon. By that logic, you can stun the Ghost Rage with a level 2 charge, but a level 1 charge. See, a level 1 charge doesn't stun lock the Ghost Rage. It has to be a level 2 charge. But if you do get him stunned, you can then loop him with charged Eric's hits. I'm not sure what I'll be covering after this. Oh, actually, I do. I definitely know what I'll be covering. Oh, this little shit fest down here is just elite Digiuns, so just drive spam them, poke them off, and we've got a really difficult fight up here. It's 3 waves, and the hardest wave is the 3rd wave, which is pretty commonplace, and I understand why it is like that, but I don't like the 2nd wave either, to be honest, because I think it's 3 or 4 Frost Knights and 2 elite Stygians. But this wave here is simple. You've just got the small rages that can be taken out with the Revenant, so take care of them. And then you've got these guys here, so we can't launch the Frost Knights. I even tried to launch them with the charged Osiris, but it doesn't launch them. And I tried to launch them without their shields, and it still didn't work because I thought the shields were compiling the problem, but they don't. So with these 2 elite Stygians here, just go near to one of them, launch them, and then roulette spam them. And then with these guys, looks like there's 3 of them. Just be very cautious. Do measured strikes. Evade. See, when you let's see, that's what I was going to reference, that attack right there. I think you can dodge it, but it has to be very immediately done after that attack that he does. So try your best to not get frozen. What else was I going to say? Immediately what you want to do is go to the cavern where we started. You're going to get a cutscene here, which I trimmed out. So just run down over here, and usually they're on you pretty fast, so you can't even get that going. But what we're after is to kill this Blood Rage here. So I decided to use the Eric's and the Arbiter to do the Trinity Smash. And if you don't know how to do that, it's 2 hits with the two hits with the gauntlets, and then 1 hit with the goddamn Arbiter to make sure that you obviously do your weapon switching. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is try to get this guy stunned, and once we get him stunned, we'll be able to kill him. However, I had the wrong weapon equipped, and when I was trying to do my charge, it used the wrong weapon, and I got the wrong attack, and everything messed up, and then I had to go start running. But you can use these columns to protect yourself, actually. Okay, so we're gonna dodge, and the reason I'm saving this guy for last is because when the Blood Rage does his Blanca spin across the screen and things like that, you just cannot stun lock him, and this guy is subject to being stun locked. You want to see some bullshit? Watch this right over here. He kind of clipped around the environment and did an arc and hit me, which is defies the game's logic and its rules, and it's bullshit right there. But it didn't outright kill me, so I tolerated it, and when he rounded the bend, I'm keeping the lock on so I can see where he is, and then we're just going to do a final smash and take care of him. Okay, a couple of notes before we move on. This is my birthday, so wish me well. And I did get a birthday no damage run on the 3 Dream Runners coming up. And also last night before I went to bed, it was my birthday, and a patch came in. The first of, I'm not sure how many patches for this game, but a patch/update. Patch sometimes I think sounds derogatory, but it's an update nevertheless, and it fixes an issue that was present on the PS4 and the Xbox One of, let me just pull it up here. Do you remember earlier in the video when I was talking about when I manually aim the round trip at the witches, it goes the opposite way? So they've actually addressed that, and I was just complaining about that. So what they did is on both consoles, they fixed an issue in which caused round trip to work incorrectly when targeting a witch with the manual lock on. So they fixed that for both the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then they also for the PS4 fixed an issue affecting the anisotropic filtering. Blurry textures should now appear clearer now. Now the issue that I just mentioned is not on the Xbox One, so they already had that fixed on the Xbox One, or it was supposed to be the way it was. But on the PS4, I guess we had blurry images, and I now can see clearer textures and things like that on the screen, and it looks a lot nicer. So I'm glad that they did that update. I would like to see some cosmetic purchases available. I mean, I am still pissed off royally about them not including the orb harvester and making it some deal, what do you call it, pre-ordering it. If I had known that, I would definitely have pre-ordered the game to get that, but that's bullshit regardless. So we're gonna come back now and do the final fight of the chapter, which is 2 waves, and it's dense with the lesser Stygians initially. So what I'm going to do is just drive spam these guys to death. If you want to do it quicker, but a little bit more riskier, even though it's not that much risk, is to use the Arbiter and the Judgment and the Trinity Cut with these guys, or the Trinity Smash, excuse me. So, and what you want to do is take advantage of, like I've been saying the entire guide, manipulate the camera on the Dream Runners, because that will keep them at bay. So I'm going to head back here and start using the Devil Trigger. You should have the Devil Trigger maxed out. I don't see any excuse to not have it maxed out, and that will refill some of your life if you do get damaged. This took me about 10 tries, to be honest. It wasn't that bad, but doing that first wave of just a tedious formality kind of pissed me off, and I just thought, why can't you just make it? I just don't understand the need to have lesser Stygians. I understand the need to have multiple waves, but when you have a wave that's so simple, like all the player wants is to get to this wave. That's all he wants. So anyway, we're just gonna hang back here, and the position of these Dream Runners, it's going to depend on where you're located. Sometimes, see, when you get back into the cavern over here, the one that's out in the main room will kind of get caught around this corner sometimes, which is really nice. So you want to bait these guys out here, like so. For instance, we have one guy in the cavern and one guy edging closer right now. But if ever the guy behind him at his rear comes out, then you want to keep this guy here if you haven't killed him, and then go back into the cavern and then just manipulate it. I think it's really clever. I'm not trying to give myself undue praise or anything like that. It's just that I don't know why I never thought of that to begin with. It's a great way to manipulate most of these waves here. So here he is. I'm putting the lock-on to kind of see if I can get him on the screen, see what his life is looking like. I'm going to do a charged uppercut, level 1, and kind of back off a little bit because I know that guy is out in the main room, the other one. I won't be including the server puzzle. If you need to know how to do it, there are things, there are guides and stuff like that, and I know my guide should be a walkthrough on how to do everything in the game, but that part is just, it is really just, it doesn't belong in the game whatsoever. And use the Angel Evade. This Angel Evade, I can't tell you how incredibly helpful it is. It's almost too good, but when I do use it, I have to change the positions of my fingers, which is kind of awkward. Take care.